Alright, so what's going on, guys? Today we're gonna do a market analysis for the Nasdaq, for the DXY, and for ES. So, what I want to say here before we even start is that this is not financial advice. This is not 100% sure. You're gonna lose money if you're trading, I don't know, indices, stocks, everything. And do not take this as a trade. Do not take this as a signal because I might be wrong. I can, and every trader can be wrong. So moving on to the analysis, we have the weekly chart of the dollar index, which we have as salient points. We have this return back into this. I believe it was a weekly fair value gap because I have it annotated like this. Weekly busy low, but I believe it was a return back, right back into this buy side analysis and efficiency. This is a daily level. We're not gonna take it into account. But what I want to see here for the drawn liquidity, which is not the target that I have intraday or intra-week for the next week, but what I want to see is this level right here being acting as a drawn liquidity, this inefficiency, because what we see inside the weekly chart is number one, we have this weekly inversion fair value gap, which is part of the sell side of curve. We use this, look at the bodies of the candles. We use this boom, immediate rebalance once, twice, then we shoot higher. We have this weekly immediate rebalance again. And my premise is that because we closed above this 6th of March constant encouragement of this premium weekly wick, I would personally want to see it be traded as support into this buy side liquidity pool. And if we get above this buy side liquidity pool, at least inside the weekly chart, then we would have no reason to stop in here because this is a balanced price range. Why do I have this weekly inversion gap annotated, which is also busy? I would want to see price if we're drawing above for this in a very macro perspective in terms of like months or even, I don't know, years. I would want to see price go use this as a support level. Of course, you can go to it, then retrace a little bit, and then to the upside again. But that is just very, very, very long time perspective prediction. So in terms of the next week, I mean, we all have only green candles on a weekly chart, but I would want to see this spice liquidity pool being taken. And if we get below, I mean, we have a break here also, but yeah, this is my premise for the dollar index weekly chart. Inside the daily chart, we can see the same thing. Look at this. And an interesting thing right here is that we have this buy side liquidity pool which we're targeting, which I talked to you about in the weekly chart. And we have the constant encouragement of the premium wick, but our attention is to this buy side and to the inception point. So when we started this run, we do not have this buy side liquidity taken yet. So we have the implied dealing range because the dealing range is not yet there. We're just projecting it into the future, knowing or trusting that this buy side liquidity pool is going to be taken. We're going to take this low to this high, and the 50% level, which is around here, is exactly this fair value gap. Now this fair value gap is a busy buy side and sell side efficiency, and we can see that the price does not even come back into it. So this is a measuring gap. Therefore, we're going to use the projection from this low into this point right here, and we're going to project the measuring gap into this level minus 1.5 daily measuring gap STD, and this is the weekly inversion gap level I wanted to see, support, but this is a higher target. But the interesting fact, which I do not have on this chart because I did not want to have a lot of lines in my chart, was the fact that the standard deviation -1 was around here on the buy side. So as the drawn liquidity for the next week, I believe that the DXY is going to go to the upside. Do not take this as a trade. and I can absolutely be wrong. With that premise in mind, we know that we have a risk off scenario, which means that the indices are more likely to go to the downside because the dollar index is inversely correlated with the indices. However, what we saw inside the last months or this entire year was the fact that the DXY was going higher and the Nasdaq was indeed going higher. I would like to see them start correlating right now, and how and what would confirm the idea that the DXY is going to go higher and the Nasdaq is going to go lower. So my premise inside the weekly DXY chart, not DXY, but the Nasdaq chart is having this as drawn liquidity, the sell side liquidity. Why? Because I believe that we engineered buy side liquidity here. With the monthly chart, we have the all-time highs and this high here. I believe we're gonna still engineer a little bit of this buy side, which means that we want to see, the algorithm wants the big banks and all these institutions to sell short here with their stop loss here. I believe our drawn liquidity is below this sell side. With coupling that with the DXY, look at how this candle also used this weekly BC high to the tick as resistance. And then a salient point that I have inside my chart is this constant encouragement of the weekly premium wick, which, by the way, I'm currently neutral, but I have a really soft bias into, and with conditions. If we do X, we're gonna go here, right? So I'm gonna tell you this now. So because we are inside the equilibrium point of this dealing range from this high to this low, I currently have no bias in terms of I'm waiting to see what Monday does, because first of all, we need to get below this constant encouragement of this weekly premium wick. We need to get below this and use it as resistance for my idea of going to the sell side to be salient, to be correct, I guess. So if we are indeed to have this as a drawn liquidity, because I don't say that we're gonna take this, then I would want to see an expansion. Yes, an expansion to the downside inside this buy side and better sell side efficiency on a weekly chart, which is the only which is the only drawn liquidity I see below this. But intraday, we're gonna talk about that inside the daily chart of Nasdaq. But moving on to the weekly chart of ES, we have the same thing. We have this weekly busy. We see the bodies of the candles closing in, and then we see this big wick to the upside. However, we still close in that constant encouragement of the premium weekly wick. Therefore, I do not have any bias until I see price coming back into it, using it as resistance, and then ultimately seeing price lower. Therefore, my premise for the weekly chart on ES and Nasdaq is to the downside if we see this on Monday or Tuesday. One mistake that I did is I did not look at the Forex calendar, at the economic calendar. So for my weekly range, how are we going to do it? Monday, Tuesday manipulation, then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Friday to the downside. I did not look at the economic calendar, so that was my mistake. But for the overall bias and for the overall narrative, this is what I want to see. So coming to the daily charts of the Nasdaq, we have the weekly level here, and what I want to see here is, first of all, if we're talking intraday, with the premise that I have inside the weekly chart, then inside a day, I want to see price coming back into this. I'm gonna target this. Then I'm gonna target the constant encouragement of this week. But I do not have them on my chart because that's a lot of space and a lot of things in my chart, and I'm gonna get confused intraday. So what I have as targets inside the daily chart, with the premise that we're going to use this as a drawn liquidity, is the fact, no, not the fact, but it is this low, first of all, because I don't believe we took it. Then this volume imbalance here, then this candle's low, then this candle's high, and the constant encouragement of it, the rejection block below this bodies of the candles, and so on and so forth. But yeah, this is the premises of the daily chart. I would like to see, because we had this here. Look at the bodies of the candles and look at this wick and look at the bodies of the candles again here. Plus we have this CB in which we came right above this high, taking in on the buy side. And I mean, yeah, constant encouragement of this, but we're not going to talk about that. We have this swing high being created again, this high, and this is an intermediate term high, not only because it rebalanced this, but we also have a swing high here, and until this point I would not like to see this high being taken if we are indeed going to the downside. If we're going to the upside, then that idea is unvalidated and I was completely wrong, and you're going to see it live on YouTube. Okay, so bodies of the candles, we dropped lower. I believe that we're gonna see some kind of manipulation to the upside if we're going to the downside. So I would like to see some manipulation to the upside in the first part of the week. If we have a normal week which does not have any NFP, CPI, or nothing. So if we have a normal week in which we only have those PMI numbers or something, I would like to see in the first part of the week the price manipulating to the upside into this order block or the daily discount wick, which is this one, the constant encouragement. And if it was an NFP week or a CPI week, I would like to see this later in the week, having the week consolidate on Monday, Tuesday. Let's say it was a NFP event. I would like to see some kind of movement, some kind of big move inside of Friday of NFP after the manipulation, right? So this is the premise that I have. I mean, ES, same thing. Sell side, buy side and balance as an efficiency. We're gonna use this. If we're going to the downside, I would like to see this being used as resistance. Then ultimately this strong liquidity. But for intraday, this sell side liquidity pull, buy side imbalance as an efficiency, volume imbalance, rejection block, constant encouragement of the wick, sell side, sell side. So that was it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I do not care. I like sharing these videos with you, and let's see what happens. See you in the week.